I think one of the major stumbling blocks is just the heavy concentration of the manufacturing onshore in China. Okay, so that's that goes back to the geopolitical topic that we talk about, supply chains, and this is one supply chain, whether it be solar and wind, which is heavily concentrated on China. So you do have that sort of geopolitical risk topic there as well. I think the sheer volume of demand globally, the question mark is will the onshore Chinese manufacturing have the capability to satisfy all of that as well? So first of all, the geopolitics, and then just the ability to satisfy. And then from our side as financial institutions, something that we work with on a day-to-day basis is just the demand for financial instruments from us is so high. How do we satisfy that demand? And often, sometimes these companies can be, sort of on the lower side of investment grade or non-investment grade as well. So supporting the manufacturing side is a key topic, and that requires innovative solutions, if that makes sense. Okay, so that's how I would touch on the manufacturing side. Look, I think some of the complications across Asia Pacific, I would break it down as definitely that we touched on this. It would be the more from the ownership side and the actual development of projects. Would be the policy framework would be the first thing. So we've got very different policy frameworks across different countries. And we touched on that up front, just due to politics, due to setup of the countries, and just due to the economic circumstances of some of them, which are more at the emerging end of markets. So I think, we have very different policies around that. I think we have very different investment patterns as well. So, Europe and we talked about Australia have access to significant private and institutional capital, given that, they've got a lot of savings in their own market, where some of the Asian markets just will not have access to that sort of type of capital in order to undertake their investment. The next one I would touch on would be the infrastructure and grid integration that we've talked about. So it's not just about building the solar and wind farms themselves, it's actually the connectivity across the grid that needs done building as well. So there's trillions of dollars of grid investment that's required that we need to solve for here as well. And finally is just having the right financial incentives in place in the country. So what I mean by that is the right feed-in tariffs, the right power purchasing agreements, the right tax benefits, etc., in order to encourage it, which then goes to your point around you have to have that in place. Otherwise, you're not going to get the banks or the capital to turn up as well. And I think that's a little bit disjointed across the markets. Whether it be from politicians, whether it be from financiers such as ourselves, whether it be multilaterals that we talked about, but there's areas such as policy and regulatory barriers as well. So there needs to be a clear policy from a lot of these countries and backed up with legislation. We're starting to see that come out over the last couple of years. Otherwise, things like the JETP wouldn't have happened. I think there needs to be a clear plan around things such as infrastructure and grid integration. So it's no use building a solar or wind farm in one part of the country if you're going to lose 40 or 50% of the power by the time it gets to where it's actually consumed, which is why coal up until now has been such a, the grids are terrible in some of these countries, and coal's been such an efficient way of actually delivering power. Maybe that's where the gas sort of transition story fits in. If we're not able to upgrade all the grids, then maybe gas still, achieves a substantial reduction in emissions, but the grids aren't updated. I think the financing and investment topic is sort of the next one, I would say, on the financing investment side. So what can we do as an organization? And that is about working closely with the multilaterals. Okay, it is about working closely with the ECA organizations. So, you would have seen recently, whilst it's not in the renewable space, you would have seen, in Indonesia, there was an upgrade and improvement to the Balikpapan refinery in Indonesia, which was backed by the Koreans as well. That was an improvement in efficiencies and output from that factory. And we expect that you'll see similar type investments across Southeast Asia as the big renewable deals come up. We will need the ECAs and the multilaterals there. On the multilateral side, we will be signing, Deutsche Bank will be signing a partnership agreement. We signed it today, but officially announce it next week. So, so I don't mind commenting on that. It's a little bit more on the supply chain side with ADB. and we'll work closely with them on further cooperation. But I think where we look at also is working closely with whether it be the local SOEs in the Southeast Asian countries, helping them to set policies. So we've set up our own ESG sort of in-house advisory arm and function, and that's headed by Cameron Khan. The purpose of that advisory function is to work closely with whether it be the SOEs or whether it be some of the government departments in these areas as well, as they look to set policy and bring about best practice in those markets. So I think there's a lot we can do. Policy and regulations need to improve. Grid integration needs to improve. We need to be inventive around our financing investment solutions. We need to assist in setting the policies and the social impacts and being best practices around that into the market. So there's a lot that we can do as a financial organisation to encourage and assist the Southeast Asian countries achieve their ambitions of both lifting the standard of living, but also coming up with affordable and acceptable energy solutions for them as well.